Howdy folks, Chief Meteorologist Nick Lilia here, taking a look at your tropical update for July 23rd of 2020. Chances are that by the time you watch this, it may be outdated with respect to Tropical Depression number 8, as that thing is really getting together, and I thought about kicking the can down the road and doing this a little bit later tonight. You know, by the time we get there, not much is going to change with the forecast. It just may change for what it looks like right now. Well, wind at 35 as of this recording, gusting to 45. Pressure at 1,006 millibars. You can see that National Hurricane Center pretty confident that it's going to be a tropical storm pretty quickly, sometime later this afternoon, evening, or into the overnight hours, and then through the day tomorrow before it makes landfall late Friday and into Saturday as a tropical storm with winds somewhere between about 50 and 60 miles an hour. Currently moving to the west-northwest at 8 miles an hour. You can see some of the cold cloud tops on there, indicated by the white coloring there on the red. We've also got Gonzalo out here as well. This thing's looking pretty ragged. It looked pretty good yesterday. It got kind of beat up, and it kind of is continuing to get beat up by some shear. Wind at 60, gusting to 70. Pressure down at 1,000 millibars, moving off to the west at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. It's pegged at 13 recently by the National Hurricane Center. You can see here that it is forecast to become a hurricane, 75 mile an hour wind. But with it being so small like it is, I mean, here we can do a quick ruler real quick. And I mean, this thing is all of 142 miles across, so it's a pretty small storm. It has a tendency to be at the whims of the atmosphere as compared to like a Katrina, which was like 300 and something, 400 and something miles across at some points. So this is going to be a difficult forecast as we head through the next 72 and to 120 hours that you see here, because if it wraps itself up pretty quickly, yeah, you could get to a hurricane or maybe even a Category 2 hurricane pretty quickly, but just as quickly you could get yourself to just a tropical storm. Back in behind that, we're keeping tabs with the 20% chance of development for the next wave that comes off of the African coast as we head through the next 2 to 5 days. This one looks like it's got a better bet at being a little bigger. You can see it's already a whole lot bigger than Gonzalo. You know, we put a ruler on this one too. We could say, okay, well, how far across is this one? Well, 700 miles. So yeah, this wave, all the thunderstorm activity associated with this wave, a whole lot bigger than the thunderstorm activity associated with the tropical storm. Going back to Gonzalo real quick, we can see that the spaghettis, speaking of rulers, that you can kind of see that the spaghettis here are in a decent agreement, about 500 miles across as we head through Sunday afternoon in terms of where the models think this is going to be. Well, what happens as we go forward in time through Wednesday? Well, then it gets a little bit wider. How about 879 or somewhere, no, let me try that again. Somewhere between 879 to 725. So a much wider spread. Not only that, but also in terms of intensity. Some of the models say that it'll continue to be a hurricane. Others say not even a tropical storm anymore. Some models have this thing getting ripped apart just off to the south of Puerto Rico, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. And by the time it gets to Jamaica, it's a couple of clouds and some rain, and that's about it. One of those models suggesting that, the European, which has it, and you can kind of pick these things out on here by the bullseye. We've got number 8, or Hannah, when it's eventually named, moving ashore across parts of southern Texas. You've got Gonzalo hanging out here, crossing the Greater and Lesser Antilles, the Windward Islands. And then you've got the next wave back here off and to the east. You can see that Hannah moves ashore and gets into Mexico and just dumps a bunch of rain. Gonzalo gets into the Caribbean, still trying to hold on as best it can. And then getting better organized is the wave back over here by the time we get toward Monday afternoon. This is through the weekend and into next week. And then you can see Gonzalo just basically bites the dust. It runs into Central America just off to the south of Jamaica is where it started to really lose it. And then it kind of fell apart. And we got Hannah falling apart. And then we've got the next wave out here, which is actually just starting to get its act together as it moves toward the Greater and Lesser Antilles and across parts of Puerto Rico as we head through next Friday. And then we've got another wave back in behind that. This is all while a big Kelvin wave. Now, this is not a tropical wave like you're used to, but this is a general wave in the atmosphere. Starts moving across parts of the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, and into the Atlantic. These Kelvin waves, again, you don't see them in the modeling. You don't see them on a satellite image. but what they tend to do is they increase the likelihood or the potential for tropical systems to kind of maintain themselves. It's just a more conducive environment. And so as these two waves get better organized, they're going to be moving into an area where the atmosphere generally is going to be more conducive for development. And so you've got wave number 1 and wave number 2 back in behind it, according to the European at this point, near the Bahamas, and again near the Greater and Lesser Antilles out in the open Atlantic. So there's a look at your tropical update brought to you by the good folks over there at Pine Belt Gutters and Remodeling for July 23rd of 2020.